Hello, statistics students out there. The last topic of this week 3 is about visual displays of data that are a little bit beyond the usual. This is a website here called Gapminder, and I'll put a link to this in the video. One thing they have here are some questions about what do you think you know about the world in these different categories, and you can try and answer their question, and then they show you some statistics about the particular question. And a lot of these questions most people get wrong. So check out what you know about the world today in some important areas for our society. This is one of the creators of the website, very interesting videos. And their animating data section here is pretty awesome. So I'm going to give you a quick view of that. This is what's called a bubble chart. And so a bubble chart is a scatter plot with the point sizes based on another variable. So income is the gross domestic product, which is the value of the country in a given year based on what they produce. Life expectancy is the average number of years people live in a particular area. And then the size of these bubbles here is the population of the country. And they're colored, there's a fourth variable here, by the region of the world that they're from. Other thing about this is there's a fifth variable in here of time. So this graphic right here at first glance has 4 variables. The x-axis, the gross domestic product of the country. The y-axis, the average life expectancy of people who live in that country, the size of each point, which is the population of the country. So we can see these big ones are going to be China and India. And then the color is the region. The time happens when you play it. So right now we're looking at 2018. And if I hit the play button down here, it'll show me how these countries evolved in terms of their gross domestic product, the life expectancy of people in the country over given years. And so we can see that most of the countries are heading to the right. There's some shifts of life expectancy up and down. You point to them, right? It tells you about them. Isn't that cute? So we can pause it at any point. What was that jump there? You see that back here? What was going on that made that jump? 1918, what happened then? Oh my goodness, something big happened then. I'm going to look that up in history. And I can drag the slider here. Whoa, some other big jumps. What happened in the 40s? Something big happened there too. So pretty interesting chart. In the next video, I'll show you how to make, not one this complicated, but how to make a bubble chart on 3 variables. So something like income, life expectancy, and the size of the country. Other interesting graphical displays of data I found that I just wanted to point out a couple, and there's so many great things out there. This one right here was women architects and designers that are important in the design of things in the world today, but haven't been very well publicized. And the cool thing about this graph right here, a couple things. So we have this axis here, the 1920s, 1940s, 60s, 80s, 2000, 2020s. So the lines here are the lifespans of these women. So this one right here, this woman lived from the early 1900s up to the 1960s. And these ones on the edge were born in the 40s or 50s and lived into the 2000s and perhaps are still alive because they're up in the 2020 area here. And when you point to one, it gives you a little picture of them and tells you who they are, which is kind of neat. So this is just a beautiful graphic in terms of it's interactive, and then you get a little information about the lifespan of that person. Multiple variables here. The Bechdel test for a movie is related to how females are portrayed in a movie, and the Bechdel test has 3 factors. It's pretty simple. Were there fewer than 2 women or more than 2 women? That's one of the tests. Next one is, did the women actually talk to each other? And the third test is, did they talk about something besides men? And you can see that back here in the 70s, these two columns here, a lot of movies produced had women or no women at all, but they didn't really say much of interest. A few did, had women characters that said something, 25%, but 75% didn't. So are women portrayed equally in movies compared to men? This graph shows not really. We would expect to see that women, this should be up a little bit higher. If you think it should be half and half, that means half of the women, half of the movies out there have no interest in women characters. What? No interest in women characters, or very few. So I thought this was an interesting graphic. So each column is all of the movies from that time frame, and then split up as a percentage of how they met the Bechdel test. So interesting multivariable graph in 2 dimensions there. A lot of graphs these days are based on where you live. This one right here is related to a measure of obesity in a given state. And the cool thing I thought about it, there were 2 things. One, they have this color chart here that says, hey, if it's light, that means the percent of obese people in that state is relatively low. If it's dark, that means it's high. So over here, if we take a look at West Virginia, it's pretty dark. In 2008, obesity was about 18%. 2018, almost 40% of people in West Virginia were categorized as obese. That is a BMI, body mass index, of greater than 30. Kind of frightening. Oregon, place where I live, middle of the road in terms of the color compared to the others, obesity of 15.2% in 2008 and almost 30% in 2018. So interesting use of data on a map. Another one I thought was cute over here. Again, a map, unemployment by county. And when you point to them, it'll tell you what county it is. So over here, let's see, here's my county. Umatilla County in 2016 had an unemployment rate of 5.9%. And again, the darker the color, the higher the unemployment. So another nice use of data visually on a map. All right, 2 more cute charts. This one right here is population of the world. So all of the bubbles together, the population of the whole world. Colors and groups are based on regions of the world. And then the size of each circle is related to the population of that country. So we can see, like in that Gapminder one, China and India have the biggest populations in the world. And then we can see the relative sizes of countries near them. Cute graphical display. All right, last one for now. Interesting displays of data. So here I have a time chart. So going from the 1960s here, and it's interactive also, up to 2013, we have weather patterns overall. So dryness versus drought. So here it's wetter, and here it's drier. And you can see the range of what we saw in these given months of the year. And there does seem to be a little bit of a pattern here that we're getting more droughts in the last couple of decades than we had in the previous, say, 4 decades there. So interesting pattern graphically. All kinds of beautiful graphical displays of data out there. If you find something cool, let me know about it. Take care. Bye-bye.